Hello maths fans! Welcome to another episode of Maths Speed Dating. As usual, I have a very special guest with me today. Meet David.
Hello world, and hello computer science fans. My name is David Malan. I'm a professor of computer science at Harvard, and I teach a class called CS50, or Computer Science 50, which is freely available to anyone online.
And if you haven't heard of it or haven't checked it out, strong recommendation. It is truly excellent. So, David is a computer scientist, as he's mentioned, but yet we are going to do maths-based speed dating. I don't think he knows quite what he's gotten himself into with this. So I'm going to reveal or remind you all watching what the rules are, reveal the rules to David, and then as usual, we will dive straight into the questions. So you are going to roll this hopefully non-biased die. Okay. You will get a number between 1 and 6. If it is a 1 or a 2, we will draw a question from the maths pot.
Great.
And now I know you were worried I was going to ask you like actual maths questions.
Yeah.
It's not like solve this problem. It's like, do you have a favorite number?
Okay.
So hopefully.
Let's hope we get that question then.
Yeah. And then if you get a 3 or a 4, so this is the general pot. So these are both of these two, and this one is fun. Both of these two have come from speed dating websites. Okay. Hence the term math speed dating. Okay. So the idea is that we've got a few rogue questions in there, shall we say, that apparently people ask one another when they're speed dating, according to the internet. And so this is just a way of, you pick a question at random, I'll read it out, you answer the question, we all learn a lot more about you. Okay. We have a bit of a laugh. And that's pretty much it.
All right.
It's maths and it's speed dating, sort of. Does that all sound reasonable?
Sounds good. Looking forward.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
All right, here we go. No math questions. No math questions. 2.
Of course it was.
Okay.
So you're going to root around and grab a question,
right.
but then you're going to hand it to me.
Okay. Here
just
we go.
so I can. We want the audience to see your reaction as I read it out. You see.
Okay.
So. Can you tell me some of the maths topics that you studied at university?
Oh, I should hope so. I first took a class in multivariate calculus, which is like calculus, but with multiple variables, not just one. Studied a bit of linear algebra, which involves lots of matrices, so numbers and rows and columns, which tends to be useful, actually, in computer science for artificial intelligence, graphics, and other applications as well. And then discrete mathematics, which actually really plays into theory and how you can solve problems and prove that your answers to problems are correct.
And was this part of... Because you went to school in the US, is that correct?
I did, yes.
So compared to the UK, where we do one subject, you kind of do a bit of everything, right?
Yes.
But I'm assuming you majored in computer science.
I did. Harvard in particular is a liberal arts institution, which means you don't just major in something, you also study other fields as well, in the arts, humanities, social sciences, and outside of STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and math. I did major or concentrate in computer science, but among the requirements were to study some maths as well. Right. And indeed, that's the first time I've ever said maths, actually. I have localized. In fact, before I switched into computer science, I was majoring in government, which also had math requirements. Okay. So you had some fundamentals in math and statistics and the like.
I'm often jealous of the US system, I have to say, because I feel like as much as I enjoy doing maths all the time and I enjoyed it as a student, I do feel like there's a lot of benefit to getting some of those basic skills from other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, had I come into Harvard and had to choose my path from the get-go, I'd probably be doing something in government now. Right. And it was only halfway through because of the structure that I was able to pivot and explore computer science.
So what, you kind of tried out a few of the computer science stuff based on your STEM requirements and then thought, this is actually for me.
It wasn't even that, because I wouldn't say that the math courses turned me on to computer science. Yeah. I didn't dislike them, but I really found my passion when I shopped, so to speak. I sat in on a class called CS50, which is now the class I ended up teaching, and it was that class that just opened my mind to this whole new world.
So you were first a student, and now you are the person running it.
Yeah, somehow. That's amazing. Student became teacher.
Awesome. Okay, I feel that's a really nice introduction to David and what he does. So that was brilliant. Right, let's roll again.
Again? All right.
Yeah, we're going to do, I don't know, a good 10 or 20 of these until we get bored.
Oh my God. Okay, 3.
Right, general. Okay. Same thing. If you draw one out.
Here we go. This one.
So by general, I guess, for the speed dating pots, I sort of looked through them earlier and I decided which ones were less standard questions versus really normal get to know someone
I see.
questions.
So neither fun nor math.
Yes. I mean, hopefully they're all fun. I always feel bad that one is labeled fun because it just implies that the rest of it isn't fun.
General question.
Okay, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, I don't know. Well,
Movies, because it's so hard to pick one, right?
Well,
Like,
it is, but
name a couple of movies.
I don't tend to have favorite things, but growing up, I very much loved the movie Goonies, which was this adventure movie and treasure, pirate ships and treasure chests and such. More recently, I've watched the movie Interstellar some number of times that I've now forgotten, so I love that, and the soundtrack too, listening to that on Spotify is actually really, I love that.
Is that like your working music? Or just generally you
I would say the movie soundtracks in general. On Spotify, there's this great list of cinematic movie soundtracks. Maybe we can link it in the description below. That's just so much fun, and it tends to be non-lyrical, so it's just background music. That's really fun and inspiring.
Awesome. Okay, let's keep going.
Next. Okay, here we go.
Some of them are shorter than others.
5.
Full set.
Fun question.
Full set. Okay, there's quite a lot of them in here. To be honest, I learned a lot about what people supposedly ask one another on a speed date.
Okay.
Oh, we've got a fire alarm, but I think we're good. It's not in this room.
That's the scope of concern.
if we start burning.
Okay. I did notice there's fewer questions in the maths jars than any of the others.
Yeah, it's harder. Well, because these just kind of were taken from websites. These I had to think of myself.
I see.
So.
Okay.
All right. This is an excellent question. Do you think magic is real?
Oh, I feel like I'm about to offend half your audience somehow. I have not seen evidence to persuade me that math... Sorry.
That math is real.
Sorry.
Math isn't real, everyone.
That magic is real. However, I have seen tricks where I am indeed mesmerized by how they did what they did.
And you have that you first see it and you're like, it has to be magic.
It is, but then I do
Almost.
find myself struggling to think, okay, there must be a better explanation, and I'm just not seeing it. But fun fact, 2 colleagues of mine are actually taking a magic class right now, which sounds like wonderful fun.
Is this going to make it into CS50?
Possibly. Maybe
Future magic tricks.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Again. All right, we've had one of each so far. 5. Fun again. Okay. How about this one?
Thank you. What is your best chat up line?
My best chat up line.
So I know this one's awkward for people, so you do not need to take ownership of said chat up line. What is one that comes into your mind? So again, it doesn't have to be one you would necessarily yourself use.
I don't know, do you guys use lines here? Is that how you
I mean, not really,
meet each other?
But like, I could tell you a terrible chat up line, but like,
what's a bad one here?
oh, like it's like the standard ones about like polar bears, and you're like, and then the person's like, what? And you're like, I don't know, but it breaks the ice.
Oh my god.
There are things of that nature which could be considered chat up lines, or like, you know, openers on dating apps.
All right. I mean, I definitely don't have a favorite, but the canonical American one that comes to mind is, so, come here often? I don't know if I've ever had occasion to use that myself, though.
But fair, okay, yeah, that's good. We've learned about that. Sounds very American. Okay.
Thanks. All right. 4.
Right.
Back into the general jar.
Yes.
All right. How
Oh,
about...
big one.
This is a long question. Oh my god.
I think it's just I got bored of cutting it and still really small.
Right.
We were talking about this last night. What is something that makes you feel old?
Oh. So a lot of pop culture things, especially in the teaching context. Like for years, I was in the habit of using Seinfeld references, which is a very popular American funny TV show.
Yeah.
But drifting, I guess, out of date recollection. I have been for the past few years using The Office, because The Office, especially online, has continued to be popular among kids today. We've recently switched to using Nintendo characters, which have kind of been around now for decades and keep kind of getting refreshed in some way. So that's been helpful. But it's whenever I make a comment like that about some show that some students don't get that I do feel old. And in fact, the sort of canonical demonstration that we do in CS50 is when in a discussion of binary search, which it means searching efficiently by dividing a problem in half again and again. And for this, we've used for 17 years a phone book. And I think we hit the point a year ago where someone online asked, like, what is that he's
Yeah.
holding? And that
What is
made
a
me
phone
feel
book?
old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
turns out it's not all that dissimilar from the contacts app on your phone. So we can bridge the mental gap, but
It's the visual, though, of having the phone book in front of you. I think it
Yeah.
really helps for the search algorithm.
But they're also getting very hard to find in the U.S. Like they used to just drop them off on your doorstep
Yeah.
every year, or bundles of them, and no more. You have to buy them on eBay.
Anything that makes me feel old. I'm trying to wonder now. I think you're right about the pop culture references when you make a reference. The other thing with you talking about students is when they use modern slang terms.
Oh, like on fleek.
Yeah, and then they're like,
make its way
they're
there?
like slay, and I'm like, I know what it means, but like that is not a phrase I would ever use in a sentence.
You know, I think it's making us look old to have this kind of conversation.
Of course it is. That's the
We
point
could
of
have
the
just
question.
played along and be like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. It happens to all of it. I feel like with the slang terms, you're old if you're saying something from a year ago. So
Yeah,
like it changes
that's
so
true.
often. But
That's true. All right, here we go. Next question. 6.
fun again.
Fun question. All right, how about... Oh,
Going for another-
won't get to that one. This
All right.
one.
We'll just pretend they've come out as well. Okay.
All right.
Ooh. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Well, here's where I look boring on your video. The most adventurous thing I've done.
This?
No, this is
I don't
pretty
know.
mild, I would say, but fun and general and mathematical. Wow, I'm embarrassed to say.
Surely something related to like CS50, like where you've taken a bit of a risk, or you've tried a demo that could have gone very wrong, or
I mean,
there's
I
got to
tried
be.
to eliminate grades in CS50 years ago, and that didn't go over well. But I'm not sure that resonates as academically adventurous for folks. Can we pass and come back to that one,
Okay.
or something, or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, we can. If something comes to you later, we can.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed to say nothing obvious comes to mind, like climbing some mountain or jumping out of a
So,
plane.
so I remember one of my favorite answers to that question
Mm-hmm.
was when I was interviewing a fellow YouTuber called Simon Clark,
Okay.
and he said the most adventurous thing he's ever done was 4 years previous. He was like, "I'm going to go full time on YouTube."
Oh.
So it's like that is a huge risk to take to like
Yeah.
leave your job and be like, I am going to make this my job now. Like that is quite an adventurous thing to do. So I feel like, because often when you think of adventurous, like you say, people are thinking I'm climbing a mountain, I'm
something
bungee
physical.
jumping, but sometimes it can just be like a particular decision you've made or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps. That's just
No, I mean, an analog for me would be that what I do today is really by accident. It's right place, right time. And I think when I was studying my PhD, I wanted to be able ultimately to teach at a place like Harvard, but I
Yeah.
didn't really intend to teach. Certainly not full-time at a place like
Mm.
Harvard, but an opportunity arose, and I was supposed to be filling in for just a year, which itself would have been an adventure.
Yeah.
Teaching CS50 back in 2007, and here we are some 17 years later, and it was just a wonderful opportunity, and like the perfect class for that so sort of changed my trajectory in life, and that alone has certainly been an adventure. So I
There we
haven't
go.
climbed a actual mountain, but that's perhaps the professional
I'd argue that's more
analog
adventurous,
thereof.
actually. I think that's more adventurous.
It has been an adventure, yes. All right, next question. 6 again, the most fun
So-
question.
I didn't mention this at the beginning,
Uh-huh.
but there is a theory.
It's 6 on every side.
No, there's a
Okay.
theory from the audience who commonly watch the math speed dating videos that the die is biased. Because if you actually look at the data that we get in the videos,
Hey, you should look into
there
that
appear
then.
to be distinctly high numbers of sixes.
Well, it could be because there's a
So-
little less or more weight based on the number of divots in the.
I took that from my Monopoly set. So let's play
Well, I don't
Monopoly
know if
the
that's
die is-
legal tender. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Oh, it's all
I'm
good.
sorry.
There's
I'm not
too
very
many of them
good at
anyway.
this.
No,
All
no,
right.
no. We're just dropping them everywhere. Right.
Again, with the cutting.
I got lazy, right? If you won the lottery, how would you spend the money?
Oh, I think on building out all the more that we do in terms of outreach and growing CS50's team professionally, and I think trying to expand the scope of the courses that we're offering. I think resources just make things possible, and particularly since so much of what we do, we make freely available and really try to connect with different communities. I just think we could truthfully do so much more.
And it's really nice to hear that you would do that with your own money that you'd won from the lottery as well.
Yeah, it would just give us, it would just open up new opportunities.
And then, if I can, because I'm intrigued,
Uh-huh.
if you have to do something for yourself, I love this, and I'm in no way, like, the fact that was your first thought is amazing. But, like, how you would have to, let's suppose you have to treat yourself in some way with your $10 million you've just won. What are you buying? What are you indulging yourself in?
I would have, like, some nice seafood more often, I think.
Okay, so just, like
Lobsters.
you could just have a
like
sushi chef live in your house, right? If you wanted. If you've got that much
that's
money.
a little too far, but just some nicer food
Okay.
sometimes, I think would be a nice perk.
Okay, awesome. I mean, because I'm just saying that because I don't know, I'd buy my own island and.
No, I don't really have expensive tastes. So.
Okay, fair enough.
But love to visit. All right. 5.
Not a 6.
Still among the higher numbers. All right. There we go. Just one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're getting through all the ones I was feeling lazy when chopping them up.
I like how you laugh at each question that you yourself wrote.
No. These came from speed dating websites. If you could commit one crime without being caught,
Oh my gosh.
what would it be?
Certainly not answering this on camera. Commit one crime. I mean, anytime I visit a new city, I always cross the streets
Yeah.
with some hesitation, not knowing if it's the type of city where you have to cross at the crosswalk and only when the light tells you to, or if jaywalking is allowed.
So you'd like to be able to just jaywalk all the time. That's your one thing. If you could have a free pass, you'd be like, I'd just like to jaywalk.
That would be a
wherever I
nice
want.
card to carry around.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just if you get caught, you're like, I got a card.
Because even within the U.S., there's certain cities where in Boston, no one really thinks twice. But on the West Coast, there's multiple cities where like you do not cross against traffic.
Yeah.
And actually, you should never cross against traffic. But in the absence of cars, they would still never cross.
It's
until
not a
the
law
sign
in the
says.
UK, so as far as I'm aware,
not a law.
no, as in you just cross over whenever you want.
Oh,
Obviously,
see,
it's advised you should use the crossing and wait, but you will not get. I don't believe, I could be wrong, I don't believe it is illegal anywhere in the UK to just cross the road.
The problem here, though, for people like me, is that cars are coming from the wrong direction. So you really had best wait to cross.
Yes,
where it
definitely.
tells
Yeah,
you
if
to
you're
look,
visiting
so.
the UK, you should definitely use a crossing. But I don't think that's something that got me actually. I remember I spent a summer at UCLA when I was an undergrad, and it was the group in front of me crossed the road, not at the crossing, and they all got pulled over by a policeman who then gave them all fines.
Wow.
And I was literally about to follow them, but because I saw him grab them, I was like, stop, like pretend I was going to stop the whole time. Because to me, it's just, I just don't think like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just not used to it. But
All right.
because, nothing was coming. It was like a quiet road, but yeah. Anyway.
All right, good to know while here. 2. All right. Back to maths. All right, here we go. Okay.
There's going to be so many on the floor when we finish, just sort of flying out.
The cutting room floor.
Okay, what is the most obscure class you took at college? It doesn't have to be maths. Just with the range that you can do in, as you say, in a liberal arts school.
The most obscure. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as particularly obscure. Like the canonical class to reference in the U.S. is taking like underwater basket weaving, which I don't know if that actually exists, but that's always cited as like the kinds of things kids do in college today.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, 2 of my favorite classes, and they're not really off the beaten path, but they were relative for me, were taking Dramatic Arts 101, which was this theater class where in every week you would learn something new about the theater. A week on reading, a week on writing, a week on directing, lighting, acting, everything. So that was so much fun, like a survey class. And then I also took as a senior, so a 4th year, Latin, introductory Latin, and it was me and a bunch of first years because they were taking it as a required language requirement, and I was just taking it for fun. And I'd never studied Latin before, and so for me it was just such fun. And I actually started to understand, ironically, English better
of course,
all these years later because it gives you so much more of a mental model and a context for certain rules in English that I think we learned very, and not even formally, informally, but then it made sense retrospectively.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's very cool. So is there a reason you picked Latin, or you just thought it would be...
It just seems so fundamental.
You just had like a spare class and you were like, Latin feels like an interesting one
elective.
to do.
I mean, honestly, I regretted waiting so long. I didn't really take these electives classes that are optional until senior year. And I do wish I had studied more eclectic things earlier.
Just to come back to your earlier point on underwater basket weaving. So
I'm impressed that's a thing here too.
no, I didn't know. I've heard someone else.
Oh, okay,
I think
okay.
like you, it's kind of that probably made up thing that people use. Like, oh, this is what you do at college. No, so we have a couple in the UK. So you can do wine studies at Bangor University. That's a proper course. But that to me, it sounds funny, but obviously you could learn actually how to produce wine, how to taste wine. So it feels like there's actually a reasonable academic component to that. And there's also David Beckham studies.
Okay.
And I think I can't remember if this is a school in the US or the UK, but as of a few months ago, there is now a Taylor Swift class, like Taylor Swift studies.
There is, which I think is oversimplified in the branding publicly as people discuss it, because I think it's really probably an entry point into the world of music or literature or the like.
Or even like branding and just that whole superstar
Yes, that too.
element. There's just so many things.
Sociological aspect of it, but it's
yeah.
distilled a little simplistically when discussed in the media, as I imagine the David Beckham class is.
Yes, yeah, probably. I've never taken it, but
it's about physics, maybe.
Yeah, how to bend the ball like Beckham, exactly.
Okay. All right, next question. 2 again. All right, maths.
I'm getting very good at adding the S.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite equation?
I was promised there would be no equations, first of all. I have a favorite equation. I mean, I like the a squared plus b squared equals c squared, because there's an elegance to that.
Yeah.
There are 3, 4, 5 triangles. I am no expert, but E equals mc squared, of course, is sort of canon as well when growing up and learning.
Is there anyone related to computer science but maybe you wouldn't call it, possibly that you wouldn't immediately think was an equation, but you could argue sort of is?
Well, a simplistic one that you learn very early on in school is just like ax plus b equals y, where you just have a couple of, you have a coefficient, you have a constant that you might add that essentially gives you a plot for a line. And we've been using this a lot in the context of talking about artificial intelligence back home in class and talking in CS50 about how you might categorize data, because in the simplest form, you want to categorize like red dots and blue dots. And so red dots go over here, blue dots go over here. So you really just need to find like the equation for a line that separates the two. And AI gets much more sophisticated than that. But that simple formula is kind of a nice way to think about how a computer could dynamically figure out what A is, what B is, by just doing a lot of trial and error. So I like that too, because it makes it very accessible to even someone who only studied maths in like high school.
Yeah. Awesome. I don't think we've ever had someone tell me their favorite equation was y equals ax plus b, but I like that.
I like that. To sound more impressive?
No. I think that is to me more interesting, because it's more approachable than saying, it's like, because I would say like Navier-Stokes, because I have it tattooed here, as everyone knows. But like that isn't accessible, so like I have to then explain for 10 minutes what it is and why I care about it. But the fact that yours is, I don't know, I like it. I like it.
Thanks. All right. 4. Back to general. All right. All right. Here we go.
Do you play video games?
Not recently. I loved Super Mario Brothers 3 growing up on the original Nintendo. Like that is like canonical
N64
fun,
or actual Nintendo?
No, this was like the original Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES.
Yes.
Which was so much fun growing up. I then stopped playing video games for years, really, and then the Nintendo Wii came out, which finally was just really accessible. Like honestly, all of the various console games that just had so many darn buttons and toggles, like it was just too much for my level of interest or intelligence. And so once the Wii came out, which just had truly fewer buttons and it used like ergonomics more so and movements, it just made it much more accessible to someone like me. And so it kind of got me into it with like The Legend of Zelda again, even though I had played the original, which was super fun. And then some variants of Super Mario Brothers again. And then I kind of lost interest again. And I've owned a Switch now, Nintendo Switch, for a couple of years. And it hasn't been used in a couple of years now, but I did take it out at Christmas time and put it on the shelf closer to the TV. So I'm like asymptotically approaching playing it again, but the HDMI cable hasn't made its way into the TV yet.
Okay.
But I shall.
So I have a handheld Switch, which is the only time, like you, I grew up playing PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and then a little bit of like Xbox. But then when I started going to university, I didn't really have the time to play as much. But then, and now I just have no time, but I have a handheld Nintendo Switch. So if I'm ever stuck on a plane or a train or whatever, and you've got no like internet connection, so you can't you don't feel guilty that I'm not like replying to emails or editing a video. Then I get out the Switch and do it.
That's a good use case, because I'll admit, I know what's going to happen as soon as I do start using it. Like, there goes 3 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
Because I've done it before. I can't just do it in moderation. I need to start and try to finish. Although, in fairness, I don't know if I've ever finished any of the games for real. Probably
but
Super
still.
Mario Brothers, yes, but maybe not Zelda.
All right.
All right. Next up, back to 2. More math. All right. Here we go.
Thank you. Ooh. So it says, what is the favorite video you've made? So I guess in your context, what is like the favorite demo or class or thing that you've done for CS50? Let's think about it in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, like the canon for us is really what we call week 0, which computer scientists tend to start counting at 0 instead of 1.
Yep.
And so week 0 for us is like the introduction to computational thinking, sort of thinking methodically and algorithmically, so to speak. And in that lecture, do we tear the phone book in half again and again? So that's sort of representative of the class. And so I think that one's kind of special in that if there's a lecture that I hope I've gotten pretty good at, it's that first one from just having done it so many times.
Yeah.
It's long. It's not a short form video, but within there is are any number of other demonstrations as well. So, but that one immediately.
Do you switch it up each year?
We make refinements.
Yeah.
But I feel like over the years, at least in my mind, we've gotten good at feeling what the right sequencing of events is. So there's some knobs you can turn along the way, but we tend not to like pull the rug out from under ourselves and start over, because I do think certain aspects of the design do work in general.
Next one.
All right, here we go. 3. All right, general question.
What is your favorite takeout meal?
Oh, favorite takeout meal. I would say lately there's for some time there's a Chinese restaurant in Cambridge back home that I really like called Chang Shou, from whom I order quite a bit, and we also bring students there and have class meetings of sorts socially on Friday afternoon. So that's fun, and special to me. I would say too, I'm definitely a fan of pizza, and so there's like a really good pizza place in Boston that I tend to order from as well.
Okay. Yeah. So a mix, Italian and Chinese.
I mean, I guess
pizza
so.
and
It's
Chinese.
sort of,
yeah, okay.
Not too uncommon.
I thought you were going to say seafood, just from earlier when you were like,
I want to have seafood delivered typically. Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
All right, here we go. 4. General. Okay.
What makes you laugh? Harry, this question. There it is.
Well, I'm laughing partly because when we did a dry run earlier, you pulled that question by coincidence, and I just started laughing, and here I am laughing at the fact that I was laughing last time. So I think
repeat jokes.
Yes, your choice of questions as well. All right, here we go. 1 math question. All right, back to math. Here we go.
I notice the S has disappeared now.
It comes and goes with my accent.
Okay, this has nothing to do with maths, but it's a very interesting question. So this is kind of, I probably should have said, this is maths / like YouTube related things, because usually I'm doing this with other people who make maths or educational videos on YouTube.
I see. Okay.
But I think this is a good one. What is the worst fan mail you have ever received? And feel free to interpret worst however you want to interpret worst. We'll do best and worst. Let's not focus on the negatives. Or comment, or just something where you've just thought like, what is this, or this is just ridiculous or hilarious, or I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not hesitating because we don't receive any negative comments. And I'm sure I comment on them with colleagues when we do receive them sometimes, but then it sort of just passes out of mind. So there isn't one that's been weighing me down all these years. I can answer the more positive one that I've shared before, which was midway through COVID, when there was finally a vaccine available. I was among those people who not only rushed to get the vaccine, but I also took a photo of like my Band-Aid on my arm, and I'd gone to the local Walmart, a big box store, to do it. And then like a day later, I had tweeted this out and posted it on social media, and someone commented on or wrote me in response to that post
Yep.
to say that he had been one of the software engineers who actually wrote the code for Walmart.com that implemented scheduling of COVID vaccines.
Amazing.
And it was just such I mean, thank God he took the class and implemented this, because he had taken CS50 as his first introduction to computer science. And granted, there were many more steps for him along the way up until that point, but that was just really special to sort of see it come full circle, and our students had all grown up and we're actually like doing good things for the world, even something as seemingly straightforward as a scheduling system for the website. But so many people, of course, were instantly
essential,
using it. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah. I guess on the positive stuff, I'm with you. Like the when you kind of get those stories of people who I've either taught or engaged with your content, and then you hear how it's actually had this like made a difference to their lives, or actually put them on a certain course, like you said, that's actually affected like the world in a really positive way. It's really nice.
Yeah, no, so special that it then sort of came full circle and we connected the dots in that way.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Right. I think we should end there, I think that is a beautiful, wholesome point for us to end on. And I think really sort of really emphasizes and sort of creates like a nice take-home message for the viewers of like what CS50 is all about, right? This kind of introduction to computer science. What is it? Why do we do it? And then sort of, as you've said yourself, then takes them on that journey to potentially becoming software engineers and changing the world.
That's the hope. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So huge thank you, David. Thank you always to all of you for watching. If you want to check out CS50, they can do it for free, right?
Indeed.
If they want to.
You can go to youtube.com/CS50, where everything is, and you can also enroll for free in the class itself at cs50.edx.org.
There you go. All the links will obviously be in the video description. So thank you, David. Thank you to all of you for watching. As usual, it'd be great for me if you could subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed this, and definitely do go check out what David does over at Harvard and CS50. And I will see you soon with some more maths fun. Take care.